All right. Well, I wanted to come on here today and do another live. I have been hearing some pretty disturbing information about people leaving internal audit. And so, a couple reasons for this video. One is, like I said, I'm hearing some of this stuff, but I want to hear from you as well. So, if you're catching this video live or if you're watching the replay, please include information in the comments about why you think people are leaving internal audit. Um, so anyway, here's what I am hearing from people, and I'll go through and kind of explain a little bit about maybe some of the things I'm thinking that may be causing it. But as I said, I want to hear from you. Okay. So, for a while now, I have been hearing from heads of internal audit, chief audit executives, that they are finding it very difficult to find people to hire. So many people have open positions in internal audit, and they're not able to find what they call qualified applicants to fill those positions. And so there's many open positions in internal audit right now. And just yesterday, I was talking with a recruiting firm, and they were sharing some of the same information to me. That especially at the senior internal auditor level, that they are finding it difficult to place people in those positions at organizations and to even find qualified candidates as well. Now, I'm not sure exactly why this is happening. I've got some ideas, and so I wanted to share a few with you. Because if you find yourself in that situation, either you're looking for a job, or maybe you're thinking about something else, or you're the person who's trying to hire people, let's just kind of have a candid discussion about what may be going on here and how you can fix that. Okay, so the first thing is, as I said, when I talk to chief audit executives, a lot of them say that they can't find qualified people. And in fact, I was talking with the CAE this week as well about that. And she has several open positions that she's having a hard time filling at the senior auditor level. Okay. And she tried hiring some people, and things just didn't work out. So instead, she has decided, instead of hiring people at the senior level, she's just going to hire brand new people and train them. And so here's the situation that she found herself in, that many of you might as well. Okay. Is that she would hire people, bring them in, and try to train them to do audit the way that her company and the way that she expected it to be done. And what she found was a lot of the people that she would bring in at that level who had some experience would question, and again, there's nothing wrong with questioning what she's asking them to do, but some of the stuff was kind of basic. Okay, and as an example, one of the people that she had hired, she asked to write a narrative about an audit. And so, again, for those of you in audit, right, we usually do some work. Sometimes we will document what we have done in a narrative that can be included in the work papers. And so when she went to this person and said, "Hey, I need you to write a narrative about what you did," the person got very defensive and said, "Well, when I was at this other place, we never wrote narratives." And so the CAE kind of, was trying to talk to him about, well, I understand that maybe that's not how you've done it other places. I would like to have a narrative in our work papers. And this person kept pushing back kind of for no apparent reason. And it seemed to the chief audit executive that the underlying issue was this person didn't know how to write a narrative for the work papers. And instead, so when pushback is like, well, how are you documenting the results of your testing or these interviews? And the person just said, well, I have interview notes. Well, there's a difference between interview notes and writing a narrative or putting something in a format so that you can include it in the work papers. Those are two different things, right? And so, like I said, this person just was kind of belligerent to the chief audit executive. And finally, you know, person had to be let go. And as I said, this head of audit tried this a few times, right? Tried to hire people with some experience, and for whatever reason, could not find people who would actually do the job the way she wanted it done. So she chose to take a different strategy and instead is hiring brand new people that don't have any audit experience and teaching them how to audit. So, if you're the head of audit and you're finding that same difficulty, that's a strategy that actually works. You have to obviously invest more money in training and getting people up to speed, but it's an option for you to be able to do if you can't find people with the right qualifications. Okay, and again, that qualified auditors is a word that I hear a lot. Another thing that I hear then when I kind of push back and say, well, okay, chief audit executive, what do you mean by qualified? What are you looking for that you're not finding? And here's what's interesting to me is that a lot of times people are saying it's their soft skills. People have great technical expertise, but they're just not the kind of person that I need in my department. Either it's not a good cultural fit, maybe the person doesn't have very good communication skills. And so those kinds of things are lacking in a lot of people that they're seeing resumes for. Okay. And I understand that, especially in audit, most of the time we think that the technical expertise and the experience will just get you the job. And that is not the case, right? You have to be good at the technical or soft skills. And that goes from, whether you're a brand new auditor all the way up to a chief audit executive, right? Because I'm helping people all the time in those leadership positions to focus more on some of their soft skills, because a lot of times we just don't give that any credence. And I'll give you a simple example here that a lot of people might think, oh, well, Jason, that's just kind of crazy. But if you've listened to me long enough, I'm maybe a little bit crazy. Okay. Believe what you want. But it's funny because I sent out an email about the new global internal audit standards. And very quickly, I mean, literally within an hour of this going out, I had somebody respond back and tell me that I was wrong in my email, that one of the sentences that I had in my email was not correct. And I looked at it. And yes, I had made a mistake. I did not exactly word that sentence the way that I should. But here's the interesting thing is somebody chose to focus on that very small thing in the email and was very quick to tell me that I was wrong. Okay. Now, again, some of you might say, well, that's what auditors are supposed to do, right? We find out when things are not the way they're supposed to be, and we tell people. But here's the issue, right? Is that if you're someone who is so quick to criticize and kind of miss the whole point, right? I mean, again, it was one sentence out of probably a 2-page email, if you were to put it on a piece of paper. So, it's funny to me that, sometimes people believe that they're so technical and they can find all these things, but the way in which they deliver the message is just off the mark. So again, imagine if someone is so critical and that's how they choose to respond by telling somebody that they're wrong for a very insignificant thing. Well, that probably is showing up other places in this person's life too, right? Because one thing we know is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if someone is quick to criticize me over one sentence in an email, they're probably quick to criticize other people around them. Now, when you're quick to criticize other people around you, that's not being very emotionally mature. Okay. And if you do that to people, they won't want anything to do with you. And so what again I think is funny, or interesting. I use the word funny, but that's not the right word, is that so many people act that way, and then they wonder why they have trouble in their relationships with peers, with managers, with executives, with board members. Well, I'll tell you, if you're being critical to them, just like you're being critical to me, they're probably not going to want to talk to you either. And that's an example of some of the soft skills, right? And again, people will say, well, but I need to tell people. Yes, but there's more than one way to tell people, right? And sometimes we have to maybe lose the battle to win the war. Sometimes we have to, use tact in how we are having a relationship, right? Because ultimately you can choose to be right, or you can choose to have a relationship. Which one do you want? Well, if you choose to be right all the time and tell everybody else that they're wrong, you're probably not going to have many relationships. Okay. Now, that's one example that happened this week, but I see this all the time. I will have people reach out to me, and again, maybe I remember one example in a training video that I did. I recorded, I don't, it was probably 20 or 30 hours worth of training in this one area. And during one of the videos, my phone rang. And so I reached over and silenced it. And there's probably been 2 or 3 thousand people who have gone through that training. But 2 people felt it was their obligation to reach out to me and tell me that my phone had rung during the video and I should re record it. Well, I didn't re record it. Okay. But again, it shows what I'm talking about as far as people being critical. And what's interesting is I'm just amazed at how often, and it's usually in people in audit, who reach out to me because I have a spelling error on the slide, or something like my phone ringer went off, or I didn't say it exactly right in one particular sentence in an email. So that's one area. Okay. Some of the soft skills, some of the communication skills that people have, that are probably lacking, and is one of the reasons why people are not finding qualified people for those positions. Now, another thing that I learned as well from the recruiting company is a lot of people are choosing to take jobs outside of internal audit. Okay. Now, that one kind of made me scratch my head a little bit, because again, I had a great career in internal audit. I continue to help people with training, with coaching and mentoring heads of internal audit, because I feel like it's a great profession. It's a wonderful place to learn so many things. But because it is that, the recruiters referred to auditors as a Swiss Army knife, right? Meaning that once you've done a few years in audit, you open yourself up to a lot of other jobs and career paths. And so a lot of people choose to end up taking a different career path. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute, as to why I think people might be choosing to do that. Okay. But it kind of reminds me, and what I'm starting to see, or what the recruiting company was explaining to me, was that a lot of people start off in internal audit, they'll do 3 to 5 years, and then they'll choose to take a different job. And when they were talking about that, it reminded me of my days back in public accounting. And we used to have a joke, excuse me, in public accounting, that we would say, the only people who hang around long enough to be partner are the people who can't get a better job before then. And it was a joke, right? I mean, it was a joke, and I'll say it was a joke because, again, I was on the partner path. That was my intention. I was going to be a partner until, we had the issues with Arthur Andersen and the firm went down. And then, sure enough, I got offered a job that was too good for me to pass up. And the reason for that was, I was kind of being held off. There was a certain career path that I had, and I knew the timing at which I would become a partner. But I knew if I left the firm, I would pretty much double my salary at that point. And so I started doing a cost benefit analysis and realized very quickly that if I took the job, started making more money now, that, over the next 10 years of my career, I would make a lot more money by leaving instead of staying as a partner. And so, sad but true, this is probably starting to happen in internal audit as well. Is people are doing a few years in internal audit, and then they find that they can get, maybe a better job, maybe it's better paying. But what I'm thinking too is that maybe it's a better lifestyle as well. And this is why, again, if you're listening to this, please put in the comments, kind of what your opinions are or what you're seeing as to why people are leaving internal audit. But I'm seeing that a lot more people are leaving than I was realizing, and that gives me some concern. Okay, especially because when I started my career in internal audit, okay, I was in external audit. I was a manager at Andersen and KPMG beforehand. And then I moved to take over and start an internal audit department at one of my clients. And I remember one of the first, Bill Bishop was the president of the IIA at that time. And I remember one of the first conferences I went to, Bill was the kind of person where he would get up and he would say, "All right, everybody up on your feet. I want you to say with me, I'm proud to be an internal auditor. I'm proud to be an internal auditor," right? And so we'd have hundreds or thousands of people in the room stand up and we'd all shout that together. And at that time, earlier in my career, I was proud to be an internal auditor. Okay, I was proud. I felt it. I shouted it just like everybody else. But having been in the profession now for 20 or 30 years, I'm not so proud to be an internal auditor anymore. And I'll tell you a couple reasons. And again, these are my opinion. I still believe it's a great profession. I still support and serve the profession. But these are maybe some things that I'm seeing from people as to why they're not so proud to be an internal auditor anymore. There's a very big negative perception about auditors in general. That word auditors elicits all kinds of fear and other things in people. And so it's hard to have relationships a lot of times in your organizations where people treat you differently than they do other people. And I see that especially, with working with chief audit executives, they find this all the time. They kind of get treated differently than other people in their organization, and they don't get the resources that others do. And sometimes that makes it difficult for them in their job. And I understand that. That's one of the reasons why I coach and mentor chief audit executives through some of those things. Because often there's some little tweaks that you can do, that you can make so that the relationships are different and you can change the perception of other people, right? But there's some things that you have to do. So, I see that as maybe one reason. Another reason is I remember I talked to a chief audit executive one time, and she was very proud of the fact that she liked to hire CPAs more than CIAs. Right? Because she thought a CPA, if you've done time in external audit, then that means that she could work you a lot. You were already used to working long hours. And so it wasn't a big deal for you to, you already understood how to work under pressure, how to work long hours. Now, I kind of smiled because I think that's the wrong attitude. But again, if you're an audit leader, and you are asking your people to work a bunch of overtime and putting what is often unrealistic expectations and deadlines on them, then you shouldn't find it as any surprise that people don't want to work for you. Okay. The work relationship is different now, with hybrid working, with some of the younger generations, with what they find and value most. And if you're still trying to put that kind of pressure on people, that may be one of the reasons why people are leaving as well. That's why a lot of people leave public accounting, right? Usually at the senior auditor role, which again is where we're seeing a lot of people leaving in internal audit. Okay. So, that may be another reason. But again, I want to hear what your opinions are. So please comment below and let me know what you're thinking the cause is. Some other reasons maybe why I'm not so proud and why others may not be so proud is honestly the way the profession is going. It seemed like with a lot of the new standards that have come out, the topical requirements, some of the changes to certification from the IIA, that a lot of people don't really agree with it and don't want to be included in it anymore. I for one gave up my membership in the IIA a few years ago, but that was after several years of me thinking about, do I really want to give that up? Right? It's not that much money, but do I really want to give it up? And the problem was I couldn't be true to myself to continue to give money to an organization that was doing things that I didn't agree with. Right? That would be just like me giving money to, a charity, and then the charity kind of changes what they do, or they have, fraud or something else that happens. And so, I decide that I'm no longer going to give to that group anymore. That was kind of the feeling that I was having. And, I know that I'm not alone about that, because when I posted on LinkedIn about it one time, I probably had 10,000 views on that particular post. So there's other people that are feeling that way. In fact, I've talked to quite a few people in the last few months, and they're questioning their membership at the IIA as well. So, again, maybe people are a little disgusted with what's going on in the profession, and they just don't want to be associated with it anymore, and so choose to get out of internal audit completely. I can understand that, right? Again, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. Another thing that I have been thinking about, and again, I might do more on this, but another one I think is the certification path that a lot of people feel like they have to go on. And again, the IA made some changes to their certification path a few years ago. And here's what happens for most people is they feel like they have to get the CIA, Certified Internal Auditor certification from the IIA. And so they start studying for it. They start taking the exams. They fail the exam. They study again. They take the exam again. They fail. Right. And what I find in talking with people is it's usually a 2 to 5 year process for people to go through to get certified. And after a while, people just get tired of failing the exams over and over again, of feeling like a failure because they failed the exams, and choose to give up. And they choose to give up on the career. They choose to give up on getting certified. And so that's one of the reasons why, I helped create some new certifications that people can get in 1 to 2 months. Because to me, it really doesn't make any sense today for people to spend that much time and that much money to get certified when you can get it in 40 or 50 hours. There's no need for people to have unrealistic exams that people can't pass, and try to limit the number of people who are certified. Limiting the number of people who are certified also limits the number of people who can get jobs, because often those jobs require certifications. And so that's one of the reasons. I'll put it up here now. I think I got it right here. So ondemand.criskacademy.com. You can always go out there and see some of the new certifications that are out there, new certificates, new certification courses. And these are things that people can earn in 1 to 2 months. So, if you can't find qualified candidates because they don't have a certification, well, maybe encourage them or hire them and then encourage them to get a certification after you hire them. And I know that is also becoming a new trend. The recruiting company was telling me that a lot of their clients are hiring people without certification and then just asking them to get it within a certain period of time. So here's a great opportunity, right? Again, if you want to hire somebody, but they don't have a certification, hire them, have them get one of the certifications from Risk Academy. They can earn it in 1 to 2 months. It's not going to take a bunch of their time away from the job or away from their family. Because again, that's one of the biggest things that I hear from people all the time is, I'm working long hours. I've got a family to take care of. I don't have extra time to study. And I understand that. And again, that's one of the reasons why these are there. So again, maybe that's a reason why people are leaving. I don't know, right? I'm thinking that it probably is because I've heard some of these things tangentially from different people. So anyway, those are, a few of my thoughts for today. Again, if you think I'm completely wrong, then tell me I'm completely wrong. Put something in the comments. Let me know. And let me know if you're thinking maybe that there are other reasons why people are leaving internal audit. But again, if there are, if you're a head of audit and you're finding it difficult to find people, I gave you a couple of options in this video for how other people are doing it. And that you can take a look at or reach out to me if you have questions. If you're somebody who is looking for a job and you're just not able to find or get an interview, again, look at your resume. Maybe you don't have some of the certifications on your resume that people are looking for. So it's probably time to get it. And again, you can go down the route of things like a CIA that are going to take you years to get, or you can get something quicker and at least have a certification on your resume through Risk Academy. Okay. If you're also, maybe if you need to beef up on your soft skills, again, that's an area. There's actually almost 500 courses out on Risk Academy. And some of them are on the soft skills as well, right? I know a lot of times it's not so sexy and people don't think they need it. But I will tell you that we all need it more than we realize because we all have blind spots. I do too, right? I'm getting to be an older man and I still, continue to find ways where I can improve in my soft skills as well and in my relationship skills also. So with that, that's all I got for today. And I'll catch you on the next live. As I said, if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments because I'm still trying to learn what's going on here because I know it's an issue both for people who want to work in the industry and it's also, an issue for people who are trying to hire people that are the heads of audit.